Wrestling Channel. Welcome back. We are here for another build-up preview for an exciting night of wrestling. My name's Scott. I'm joined over here by our favorite luchador, Rob. Of course, favorite behind Rey Mysterio, who we got to experience last night. But what we're going to do is we're going to run down the card. We're going to talk all about the last-minute rumors and things like that. So stick with us, and we'll kind of keep you company until WrestleMania begins.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling Channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
All right, once again, welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling Channel. It is time for the build-up show. I'm excited. I've got my giant heavy beer back, right? Hold on.
You're like four. It's a massive tankard.
I'd love to say there was popcorn in here because I've actually got quite peckish, but of course this is just for our Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling Channel going Hollywood, like WrestleMania has done as well. Quickly going to get to our first comment of the night. Sludge Sports is back with us again. Hi, mate. Thank you so much for joining us here on this special preview edition of the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling Podcast. We are here to, of course, run down the card for night 2. I'm sure throughout the night we'll talk a little bit about what happened on night 1, inevitably, especially if there are questions related to it. But we have covered night 1 in depth already when we did our instant reaction to it, basically, last night, which was for us over here the beautiful time of 5 in the morning. Rob, are you feeling a little bit better about things now?
I've had a nap. That's what I thought. I had a good sleep, about 4 hours, and then I was up. Obviously, I had to go about my day. Then I had a wonderful power nap, and I feel hyped and ready. Not as hyped as yesterday, not for WrestleMania, but what I'm actually hyped for is we hit 500 subscribers on the channel.
We did. Oh my goodness, good point. Thanks for bringing it up, man. It was one of those things where you literally say couldn't have done it without you guys. First of all, couldn't have done it without support yourself, Rob, but also the fantastic subscribers that have built up that number of 500, and of course quite a few joined us this week as well, and we're really appreciative of that. But like I said, if you haven't already, check out our instant reaction if you want to know our thoughts on night 1. We do go in depth on that. It's about an hour long, so a real kind of fun podcast there, even though we were kind of half out of it because it was 5 to 6 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, exactly that. We've got a few comments here coming in as well. Richard Robles is back again. Spoiler. Back with the spoilers, Richard. Bianca retains the WWE Raw Women's Championship. Big call there, mate. Of course, she's celebrating 1 year, I think, exactly to the day today that she actually won it at WrestleMania as well. So, very interesting prediction or spoiler, as Richard likes to call it there as well. So what we'll do is we'll go through the cards for tonight. Of course, like I said, we might touch on a little bit of stuff from yesterday, but this is all obviously leading towards night 2, so we're going to try and focus on that basically predominantly, and throughout the night we might kind of go off on a few little tangents as we like to do on the build-up streams as well. But generally speaking, mate, how are you feeling? Like we said, we got the kind of tired chat out of the way, but if we forget about how tired we are and how much of a busy week it's been for us on the channel, how are you feeling about WrestleMania night 2 overall?
On it, I don't know. And that's not a bad thing. Night 1 was so good. Night 2's got to pull some special stuff out of the bag just to be equal, on par or go above and beyond. Because I mean, the matches that we spoke about on our instant reaction, go back and listen to that. Obviously, we were tired, but we went into quite a lot of detail and stuff. The matches we weren't excited for, being the men show us what you've got, basically take show. That was so good.
Unbelievable.
So I watched it back again. I was like, do you know what? There's stuff I missed. There's things that we didn't even talk about. It's the second time viewing, so much better.
Really? Okay, yeah. So I haven't actually watched anything back yet from WrestleMania. I haven't watched anything twice, basically. But I'll take your word for it because it was amazing. But there were a few things today, like you said, I thought, oh, we didn't mention that. We didn't talk about that and stuff like that. But hey, again, it was 5 in the morning. But yeah, man, you say trying to kind of keep up with night one as far as the talent on the show tonight. I think it's going to be it's a hard one to top. I believe they can do it. Don't get me wrong. I believe they can meet expectation and maybe go above and beyond in certain circumstances as well. But I was talking to Andy, of course, friend of the channel, joined us last night for the build-up show live from SoFi Stadium, which was incredible. Again, you never know what you're going to get on these build-up shows, guys. We were talking about Samoa Joe being in the poncho because WrestleMania is delayed, or we get a live correspondence from the venue, or we just kind of had kind of random things going on Friday night. But anyway, we had Andy on last night, and we were texting today, basically. I was getting his kind of vibe about, you know, what it was like in person. He was getting my opinions of what it came across like on TV and things like that. And he was basically saying that same sort of thing, you know, tonight is kind of, you know, got a lot to live up to. And I was saying what I feel good about is that all of those wrestlers that are on tonight's card are going to be thinking, I've got to bring my own game. Like, I have to perform. Like, the bar has been set, and that can only be a good thing, man.
Well, that's what I mean. It's weird, like, when you get Mania the way we do it now with 2 nights, even though Owens, Zayn, and the Usos was the main event for night 1, and if you understand what I mean, but it still feels like that's the middle of Mania. So it could only get, I guess, better. But man, the main event was great. The show itself was good. The stuff they pulled off. There wasn't much pyro though. A lot of people saying they're saving the pyro for Cody.
Yeah, I think all the budget's going on Cody. That's for sure. A lot of things to expect tonight. I think because we didn't see yesterday. We saw somewhat of a musical performance. We didn't really get any surprises. No. You know, like, don't get me wrong, Snoop Dogg, but again, he was on one of the posters that we looked at earlier on in the week.
Yeah, but I didn't notice that till late. Do you remember?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but that's not their fault, mate. That's your fault. I guess they didn't point it out. But yeah, on top of that, like, other than like the surprise of what certain cool entrances were, and of course, you know, alluding to the mysterious Seth Rollins as well. Go back and listen to our reactions podcast there. But other than that, like, there wasn't much unexpected. You know what I mean? So I feel like tonight we might get more of that. You know, no, to be fair, we had Pat McAfee last night as well, but I just feel like something big's got to happen tonight that's kind of out of the ordinary, unadvertised. And yes, maybe it's the Bobby Lashley thing. Did you see that interview with KSI backstage?
Yeah, it was crazy because it made me laugh because you called him the Beast, and I was like, well, that's Brock Lesnar. However, I don't think he's much in the knowledge of
current
wrestling,
product.
Current products. But he was talking about playing video games and stuff, obviously, when he was a bit younger, starting on YouTube. But it was still good to see. You know, Lashley responded. He said, "It's not the fight I want, but I'll take it."
Yeah. So I don't know if that means that is what we're seeing, because it was a strange name to call out, wasn't it? But
yeah.
But if I know a strange way to do it, but if you haven't got TV time between night 1 and night 2, I guess that's maybe the best way, or the bump or something like that. But to get him knuckled down for the bump might have been even harder. So I understand it if it is what they're actually setting up, but if it's not, then I don't. You know, I understand also why Bobby would have just responded to it, because if you've been called out by KSI, even if that isn't what you're doing tomorrow, it is going to be a different open challenge and it's going to be someone else, then you'd be crazy not to capitalize off of that and talk about it, you know? So fair play to Bobby either way for getting called out by KSI.
Yeah, it was strange. It was a little bit strange. But I'm going back and I was looking at the photos on Twitter with Logan Paul and just the Prime bottle and KSI standing in specific poses. And I don't know, it's one of them things where you look at it now and you go, oh, of course, that's JJ, that's KSI. Like, you know who it is. But am I thinking that now because I see the reveal,
yeah,
and then you see it? But at first, I was like, "Oh, it's a."
I had no idea. Yeah, they mentioned
mad,
that interview. It could have been Jake Paul, But yeah, I had no idea it was going to be. So it was really cool. But again, we've touched on that quite a bit already. Go back and watch our instant reaction. Maybe tomorrow, guys, because of course I understand that tonight's going to be jam-packed with content around night 2. But let's get on to night 2, Rob. Let's talk a little bit about the card itself. We'll bring up the graphic we've been looking at all week, of course, since we've had the lineups unveiled. And of course, now we're looking at the one on the right-hand side, WrestleMania Sunday. And we'll do what we did yesterday, mate. We'll start bottom to top as well. So that means we are starting with, as you mentioned earlier on, the matches we've kind of been not that excited for, but judging by what we saw on the men's version, I am now suddenly super excited for the super duper show us what you got match in the women's division. Now, hey, look, I don't think it's going to be as good as the men's, but what I'm saying is the big problem was the lack of build, and it showed us that even with a lack of build, a match can still be really fun. So what I'm saying is we could still get some cool moments in this one. So let's start talking about it, mate. Yep. Let's talk about the women's, what we're calling on this channel, at least, the Show Us What You Got WrestleMania special SmackDown King of the Ring, top of the mountain on a pole match.
We haven't done our prediction for this, by the way.
Oh, yeah, good point. Me and you are the only ones that haven't, have we? Oh, flipping it. Good point. Right, so how do you want to do it, mate? Who wants to go first?
Well, I know who I've got winning. So it's up to you. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I know as well, but I'll let you go first.
Oh, really? Should we say it at the same time and see if it's the same?
All right, let's count it down. What we counting from? 3, 2, 1?
You say 3, 2, 1, and I'll have to say it at the same time as you say 1, because otherwise we're out of sync. We've got that from the Royal Rumble video.
All right, so we're going for 3, 2, 1. Rondo Shadow
Liv Morgan.
Whoa! Okay, turns out we're not on the same page. We're not on the same page. Fair enough. All right. Well, yeah, I think it's going to be them because they're like the most credible in the match, and it's got to be about making them look good going forward. You know, they feel like an actual team. So that's what I'm thinking. Why are you thinking Liv and who is it? Raquel.
I think for their showing of what they've done in the Rumble, you know, and how good they looked and stuff like that. And I just think they need a team that's, I don't want to put, like, it's not forced. And even though that Shayna and Ronda are friends, it's like I'm watching it and I feel like every time they cut a promo,
way more forced.
Yeah, but when I watch Shayna and Ronda, I feel like I'm watching the Mean Girls on WWE TV. It's just this is so bad. It's so cheesy. Like, I've seen better acting in B movies, and these are terrible. So, like, at least with Liv and like Rekka, and like, it's better. It's they gelled better when they've done stuff in the Rumble together. They look good since then. They've been teaming. They've looked good. So, and I think they complement each other with the height difference, size difference, and the way they team. That they're a different type of tag team. And it's not just generic UFC round and pound slam judo rolls, and you know, it's actually WWE wrestling. And I'm quite critical on Ronda, you know that.
Yeah, but...
and I'm not a big fan. I'm not the biggest fan, but I don't know. I mean, if she gets the tag titles, what do they do with it? Because they're not going to be there all the time. At least with Liv and that, they are.
Yeah, but they're not used anyway, the tag title. So I don't know, man. I think it should be Shayna and Ronda personally, but
which is Razor.
I was gonna. I really think it should be. I think they just feel way more legit of a team, and I just think this match is to get them on the card, to get Ronda specifically on the card. I feel like so. I think it should be Ronda and Shayna, and I think that will. Yeah, but I think that will make the tag division. I really do think it will make it look, better. I think they're a credible team as fighters. So,
yeah, but the thing is, so if we go into a feud, right? Obviously, they'd be the heels going into the feud, right? But let's say it with Becky and Lita. So they go into it. Let's say they do win. We go into it. They're the heels. They win. Okay, fine. They win. And then we've got months of heels that no one really cares about being women's tag team champions, and we're already saying about making the title credible. Then give it to babyface.
I don't think so. I think it would make it more credible if they were champs. Yeah, 100%. It's Ronda Rousey, man. Like,
people aren't fussed. I mean, honestly, the people in the chat now that are watching stream live on demand and stuff like that, did you actually miss Ronda while she wasn't there within the product? If you didn't, what
No,
does that
I
say?
No, I know, but I think that's another kind of conversation, really, because I'm just looking at Ronda's star value. Do you know what I mean? She's still Ronda Rousey, man. Like,
Yeah, and you know, great that she has that star and that pull power and the draw. But I think since she's been doing more with WWE, that draw has dropped. I don't think the star power is. When
what
we
it
first
was.
got Ronda, it was like Ronda Rousey, and now it's like
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey. Like it's not as
Okay.
special anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I think this should have been done a long time ago, by the way, putting these two together as well, or against each
They
other.
should have done it when they then during the lockdown.
That's the whole thing
COVID.
with Shayna being misused to her entire main roster career.
Shayna in
anyway.
NXT compared to Shayna now, completely different. Same as Asuka.
Yeah. Good point. Let's talk before we move on, actually, to the next match. Let's go into a bit of breaking news. I don't know if you've seen this already, mate, but it looks like the buyer for WWE could be announced as soon as tomorrow, and it's Endeavor, who own UFC, and the word is that they're going to combine them as a public company, and as far as I'm aware, and they will be owned by the same entity, WWE, UFC, under one banner.
Does that mean we get crossover stuff, or are they going
to
keep it?
I hope not. I hope not. And you know, UFC fans that are like super anti-pro wrestling are going to be a bit worried about that. But look, I like a bit of both. I'm more on the pro wrestling side personally myself. As far as I like the UFC, I'll watch some of the big fights. But it's more interested me to what's going on WWE side of things. I think it could be a positive. And the big one is that it's not, without getting too deep and political into this, it's not looking like it's going to be a situation similar to a football club being bought. And I'll kind of leave it at that, really. But it's a pleasant surprise. I was kind of hopeful it would be that. We did do a long, in-depth video, didn't we, when Vince actually returned, and the rumors about him actually returning to sell the company. That seems to be true. Of course, a lot of rumors about him kind of having his hands involved with WrestleMania as well. Make it out what you will. But it was, breaking news tonight, mate, that it looks like as soon as tomorrow we could get the announcement that WWE have been sold.
It's crazy, man. Just to think the day after Mania, and that could be the talking point of the whole show. That's bizarre. You'd think they'd do it a couple of days after to, you know, if Cody does win or Roman retains. That's the talking point. You'd think they'd wait before they drop that.
Build up for some different hype. But then again, they bought WCW days before WrestleMania, so there we go. It's kind of I guess a similar situation. So let's get into a few more of these comments as well. Richard Roble says, second spoiler, Zoe Stark screws Edge out Hell in a Cell. You really want Zoe Stark to do something, don't you, Richard? So, match, and then Beth Phoenix helps her husband.
So look, Richard, I want to know why Zoe Stark is all of a sudden screwing Edge.
I swear, every time Richard's here, he's got an opinion about Zoe Stark doing something. Yeah, it's got to be a reason. And the other day, Richard, we covered NXT Stand and Deliver. We were talking about Zoe Starks. And you weren't there giving us comments or spoilers about Zoe Starks. What's that all about? I'm saying Starks, like she's Ricky Starks'
he knows
sister.
He knows something. That's what it is. That's what I think.
Yeah. Right. A few more comments here as well. Sludge Sports says you hit 500. Yes, Sludge. Thank you so much, mate. And you were a big part of that. Every single one of you that subscribes, we really do appreciate it. It was our goal to hit 500 this week. And with the incredible amount of content, we've put out, it's been made possible. Go on.
Remember, I did say if we get 510 by the end of WrestleMania, Scott would have to decide what Seth Rollins suit he has to wear for his wedding. So keep going. We've only got 10 more.
Rollins suit? Okay. I mean, I never agreed to that, but if it encourages subscribers, we'll get there. If you are here for the first time, or you're here for the 58th time, we'd appreciate if you press subscribe if you haven't done already. We're the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel, an offshoot from the main Rebellious Noise channel, and of course we talk pro wrestling. We interview WWE superstars over the years. We do build-up shows like this on the night of the PLE to get yourself and ourselves hyped up for the show. We do predictions and preview podcasts. We do kind of nostalgic episodes, recaps and reviews and things like that. So if that sounds like the kind of thing you're into, I would love it if you stick with us on this journey, because things are only getting bigger and better, mate. We've got Money in the Bank coming over to London in a few months, and we are going all out for that. Right, let's get into a few more comments as well. We've got DKW. I'd imagine this is Lucas here. Vince wants to get the most eyes on sale. No better time than Mania weekend. That's a good point. Everybody's talking about WrestleMania and WWE anyway. I guess the other argument could be that if it died down, you're bringing the eyes back at a time where you don't have those eyes. But I guess if they're already there, take advantage of it. So, yeah, I understand where you're coming from there, Lucas. Sludge Sports says, I think Balor versus the Edge, will be the match before the main event, because it would be weird if they had Hell in a Cell match with Demon Balor in the daytime. Oh wait, but isn't there like some sort of like roof on the stadium or something like that? That kind of, I'm not sure. So. It was open yesterday actually, but there was a rundown I saw earlier on. I'm not sure if this is legit, but it was penciled in at the time at least as going on second to last. Things change, especially in the world of wrestling journalism, when people just say a lot of rubbish and go, it's because it changed. But hey, there are legit guys out there. Don't get me wrong.
So we had this conversation. I can't remember. I think it was when they dropped the card and we were talking about it. If you haven't seen that, go back and watch that stream from a couple of days ago. But my thoughts and opinions on it was that Balor and Edge should open, because it would be a great way to open up.
Yeah, just Hell in a Cell being the opener is mad. Like it's one thing when it's at Hell in a Cell where they separate them, but as much as I'm in two minds about this, like it's kind of, we've got Hell in a Cell away from the PLE and making it special. It's the end of a blood feud, but it's not the main event. It's still kind of a confusing thing here as well. Lucas says, I think it may start the show as that and Roman match going to be long. Yeah, good point. You don't really want those next to each other is my kind of main thing,
especially with the history of Edge having a very long match.
Yeah.
We're going to get that done and dusted.
It would be a good opener. It's kind of similar to having the multi-person ladder matches and stuff like that as well. So I wouldn't be against it. Seeing as we're talking about that match, mate, we should probably just dig in a little bit deeper and further on this. Of course, Sludge Sports was saying there about Finn Balor being the demon. Of course, that has been confirmed. Finn basically said, bring in the demon. What are we looking for as far as this match goes? And I'm tempted to already talk about special entrances here, but we'll save that for later on, like we did on yesterday's stream as well. So we're going to run down the card, talk about predictions of the actual matches themselves, and then later on we'll talk about special attire, special entrances that we can see happening as well. Quickly get into another comment here from Lucas, but they're saying that they'll probably send out Jerry Lawler to beat the Miz before the main event. You never know.
I'm not against that.
Says, I thought Triple Threat should open. Oh,
what an opener that would be. God,
yeah.
Imagine going after that.
It's got to be something big. I think the running order I saw was Brock versus Omos. I think.
I guess because Brock likes to kind of get into his stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, let's go back to the match itself, though. Finn Balor versus Edge. Now, the original predictions episode that we did the other day, we went for. Let me just double check. Right, Balor was the prediction for Dan and Lucas on their predictions episode. On the one that me and you did, Rob, you went for Balor, and I'm the only person, the odd one out, who went for Edge. Of course, our predictions are locked in, but now, because we did it before we knew for certain it was going to be the Demon as well. Now that we've had Raw and SmackDown and even Night 1 of WrestleMania, if you could have, would you have changed your prediction?
Hell no. Man, I just want this feud done and dusted. You know why? Even now, right, after what we see last night, just the idea of getting the Judgment Day versus the Latino World Order. Oh, I'm so up for that. I 100% can't wait for that.
We've been talking all week about the potential to split up the Judgment Day and how we hope it wouldn't happen. I think we're pretty safe. Like we said last night on our instant reaction to Night 1. Again, if you haven't seen it already, I appreciate there's a lot going on tonight, but if you get the chance tomorrow to check out our review of Night 1, we were talking on that about how it looks like it's probably going to be Damian Priest and Dominic versus Bad Bunny and Ray in Puerto Rico for Backlash, which I'm looking forward to, actually. I think that would be a great match. Ironic, really, when Damian Priest and Bad Bunny were working together originally. So be interested to see how that works on the opposite side of each other as well. But going back to this, like I say, it looks like Judgment Day are staying together for a little bit longer, and I'm very, very pleased to say that. Now, you say, oh, you want the feud to be over. And I was like, well, then Edge should win because Edge is the one that's kind of been dragged through the mud for this entire thing. It's his stable. But he kind of got the win recently, right? So does he need to, like, I don't know. I think maybe I would have gone if I had the chance to on the opposite side to what I went for and actually say, yeah, that maybe Finn Balor will win, especially now it's looking like Judgment Day are coming out of this pretty strong. I mean, Dominic lost, but look at Rhea I think Judgment Day around the Hell in a Cell, if they do a similar kind of thing, will be pretty cool as well. Do you think there will be an eruption in this or anything like that, or an attempt for Judgment Day to get involved?
So possibly. I mean, I don't know if you've seen. Obviously, this is more to do with entrances and stuff like that, so we won't touch on that yet. But my thoughts are we're gonna get like if it's getting Demon Finn, I reckon we're gonna get like brutish Edge. I think that's definitely a possibility because obviously they spoke about that. There's rumors circulating around Gangrel making an appearance, so maybe we get Gangrel around. And there was also rumors saying that Tony Khan has allowed Christian to appear.
Yeah, I heard rumors about this the other day, but I don't know if that's just wishful thinking and rumors that just started to spiral. But all right, you know what? Well, I think we can't not talk about this match without talking about presentation of the entrances. So we'll bend the rules here and we'll talk about it here as just for this early on. But just for this one, let's stick with the Edge side first. I do think we're getting a Brood entrance. I would
Brood of Fire.
Yeah, and I would absolutely love it if Gangrel, and even more so if Christian was there as well. How likely it is, I don't know. Obviously, Gangrel's more likely, and I would love it for Gangrel as well because it might look odd if it's the three of them and Edge is in the middle because Edge is definitely the biggest star of all of them. But back then, Gangrel was the one front and center of that group, you know. So, but it'd be good for Gangrel. I think it'd be fantastic. His stock will rise, and by all accounts, I've never had the pleasure of meeting him, but he seems to be a nice dude, and a lot of people vouch for that as well. So it'd be a great moment for him. And cool, man. Like, it was so cool when Edge did bring back Brood Edge a few months ago, you know. So I'd love to see it again. Was it at SummerSlam that he did it?
Yeah, but it was only for the entrance, and that was it. He had the bread coat, and he come up from the fire thing, walked down the steps. When his return, I was like, oh, this is amazing. And we didn't get anything else. There was nothing else.
What more do you want?
More Brood Edge, because I don't want to see the rated R superstar. We've had that. Let's do
but it's just an what? So you want him to kind of be crawling around the ring and wearing frilly shirts or what?
Sure, why not? You know, is at that point in his career now where whatever he does, people are just gonna.
But that's a full character change. I don't think we're getting that. I think it's
a legacy run, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And you have a medley of your career, and I think there's nothing wrong with that, man. To have used aspects of.
I don't know.
I don't need full Brood Edge. I don't need that. I just, you know, I'm fine with this medley of greatest hits of Brood and kind of rated R superstar.
I mean, I don't mind it, but if they brought it back, at least allow it to linger around what's happening. They brought it back for a mind game, and that was it. You know, at least let it linger. Let it have a bit of breathing space. Do a couple more bits with the Brood. Let it fizzle out. Bring back the rated R.
I don't think we need that. I don't think we need that. I think
if we bring it back for random occasions, is it a special?
Yeah, it is, because it ain't going to run its course, man. I don't know. I got to disagree with you here. I just think. Like, what do you want? A run with Gangrel and Christian like for about 3 weeks?
Like,
what do you want?
If he come back for the thing, right, with the Brood, it looked really, really cool and all that sort of stuff. And he had a new attire. He looked badass. Like, he looked so good. And then the next time we see him, it was just Edge. And I was like, I get it was that for that special thing, but you were just riding on this big return and you were going there. You were there to beat the Judgment Day. You had literally, no pun intended, all this fire behind you and like building up. Yeah. And what did we get out of it? I think he may have lost the match, and then we went back to normal Edge again. So I just like, if you're building something up that good, don't cut it down while you're getting momentum. People loved it. People were
but it's just I don't know what more like you'd need him to do. I don't know.
I think even just be more dark and mysterious. If you want to bring that Brood stuff.
Okay, so more of a tweak to his character. I mean, to be fair,
is that a time he started doing it in Judgment Day.
Yeah. Exactly, just done that, and they kind of weirdly kicked him out of it. But anyway, that's a whole confusing situation on itself. Before we carry on with this Brood conversation, let me get to a few of these
Mhm.
comments as well. Let's see. Lucas said, "Oh no, we got that one already." Sludgeport says, "I thought Triple Threat, I thought Triple Threat should open." Yeah, we touched on that as well. Triple Threat is going to be insane. Lucas says. Lucas, of course, was on the predictions and preview episode and made some great points about how it could potentially be not only match of the WrestleMania weekend, but also match of the year. And I do think that's a possibility. And since Brock and Owens would be good for second or third as well, we'll be sure. I think the same, man. I think it should be somewhere in a place to kind of calm down the crowd. And, you know, it's just a spectacle and whatever else. But yeah, going back to Balor and Edge, I think we've got to get Brood. I hope it is with Gangrel. I absolutely love it if it's also with Christian.
I mean, yeah, even if it's a one-off.
Yeah, it'd be great. And even if they're to kind of even the playing field, you know, like the LWO, as we're calling them now, were there for Ray. You know, it'd be good to see that.
All right, so
it would be cool if Finn came out with the Judgment Day and they waited around the cell, and then Edge comes up next with backup. You know?
Yeah, I mean that would be cool. So speaking of Finn, last night we spoke about Ray being within pop culture. If you're not aware of what I'm talking about, Ray's dressed as different references from.
What was that yesterday, by the way?
I'm not sure. I'm still looking into it.
It looked so similar to so many things, but if anyone knows in the comments, guy, or has an opinion, what you think Ray was kind of giving
the attire looked like?
Yeah,
it looked great, though, didn't it?
It looked like a superhero, but I can't quite put my finger on it. It was kind of reminding me of like the Flash, and then there was also like the mask. Weirdly enough, looked a bit like the Great Muta, because Muta has that mask now that was kind of.
It felt like it was. Out. I was going to say, like with my one, it's around my head, but Ray's one looked like it was on top of the head.
It was like a harder mask. It was like
a shield.
Yeah, like exactly that. So yeah, if anyone has any ideas, let us know, guys. Or if it's actually been reported what it was paying kind of homage to, because I imagine it is something.
It's got to be.
But yeah, good point. Now we talked about Ray, didn't we? But you did bring it up a few days ago as well on our preview episode about you know, what is Finn Balor going to look like? Now the main thing is that it would be it's a demon, Judgment Day demon, yeah, which I think is most likely. But you're saying, well, it's Hollywood, and judging by the way Finn's career has gone in the past from when he was Prince Devitt as well, and dressing up, man. As much as I'm sure he thinks, Judgment Day, first time doing it under the Judgment Day, it's got to be special for the Judgment Day. I know there's going to be a big part of Finn. Well, I'd imagine, there's going to be a big part of Finn thinking, Hollywood, I've got to do something film related. So have you got any ideas?
I'm just trying to think of things that have come out, like films. I mean, Avatar come out. So obviously the thing is, I'm thinking that it's going to be purple. So my thought instantly goes to like old school Joker. If you could get away with that from like the Michael Keaton Batman, obviously that one instead of the Bale Batman. Although we do have the Walking Phoenix one and the Suicide Squad stuff, so maybe it could be something from that. I think if there's going to be anything, it's either going to be more DC leaning towards that, because Marvel is more about the superhero guys.
I think more likely to be horror themed because of the Judgment Day. Yeah. And you did bring up a good point.
Oh, we said about Ghostface.
Exactly, that could be Ghostface. It is actually kind of in at the moment, which feels quite nice and refreshing as a kid in the 90s to say something like
in.
I'm just saying, like a few years ago, if you said that Scream was like down with the kids, they'd be going, yeah, when you was a kid. And it's like, no, with like the actual kids. Like, the actual kids are into Scream. Thanks to Wednesday Addams. It's a cool thing again. So I think for someone that is also the same generation of us, a little bit older than us, Finn Balor, he would have grown up with Scream as well. So I would, and it's black and white. It would therefore fit with everyone in the purple, or he could add a little bit of purple to it as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was some sort of version of Ghostface. I think it would be really cool. Speaking of these costumes as well, Starsport says it was Great Muta inspired, talking about that outfit from Rey Mysterio on night one. Okay. Right. But anyone in the comments, guys, let us know what you think. What do you think Finn Balor is likely to look like as the demon? If it is, just going to be a demon related Judgment Day related demon, will it just be the regular demon? It could be that, or Is he going to do something in Hollywood? And even if you don't think he is, what would you like to see him kind of do? Of
It'll
course,
be strange though, wasn't it? Because I mean, Finn is always is black, red, and white. That's that demon-esque color that they use, and they've always done that. Now Judgment Day are purple. So, and they rep that purple really, really well.
Exactly.
Finn always comes out with something different, like a different face mask. So he's come out with a big
and all
bandana
that,
and the coverings and stuff for PLEs. This one's going to be special, and obviously because it's demon, I'm intrigued as to what it's going to be. So I think maybe we don't see. Maybe he's got a mask over the paint, so he has another mask on, and then when he gets to the ring, he takes it off, and then we get that reveal.
That's what I think. More like a ghost face, like that, a ghost face style mask. Or the actual one, if they
and then paint underneath it with something else.
That is more like traditional demon, I guess, but more with a Judgment Day twist. It's being purple colors, I guess. So I think that'd be pretty cool. I think has to be, and the visual of them with the Judgment, and I do hope the Judgment Day are out there. Even if we don't see the Brood, I hope the Judgment Day are part of this. Because I think that'd be pretty cool. Even if they do a run-in or an outside, I think I want to see them enter together. I want to see Rhea with a title and all that kind of stuff as well. So I think it would be pretty cool there as well. Sludgeport says the red replaced with purple. Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking. Like, I think it will be the regular kind of that's the most likely. I think it will be a regular demon, but purple instead of red, which again I think would look pretty cool as well. Talking about looks, mate. There were leaks the other day of the Hell in a Cell structure, and I'm pleased to report it looks like it's not red anymore. What you feeling about
that? We need a button for just a hallelujah noise.
Yeah,
we need to get that at some point.
Overjoyed, yeah.
Finally, since 2018, we've had this disgraceful looking red structure.
Yeah,
and even when they done it the first time, no one liked it. And what made it worse was they made it red and then put the Fiend in it with red lights, so no one could see a damn thing.
yeah.
And then we had it for a while.
It's supposed to look like mean and harsh and like industrial, you know what I mean?
Looks stupid.
Like it shouldn't look glossy red. It was just, I mean, I think that was the hell side of it, Hell in a Cell, fire, you know what I mean? Like I think that's what they were going with. But yeah, I didn't like it. So I really I do hope this is the case. I hope the one we saw isn't pre-spray paint and it is going to be red. Like it's just a new one. They ain't painted it yet. I'm looking forward to seeing the original Hell in a Cell back. I think it would be cool. I think this match could be quite a spectacle.
Yeah, I mean, are we going to get on top of the Cell spot?
Oh, no. See, again, before they went into the red cell, they raised the height of the cell as well, and it kind of stopped people going up there, And then we got the Shane McMahon jump, but other than that, we don't get much on top of the cell anymore. Because, like, honestly, again, as a child of the Attitude Era in the 90s, like every time there was a cell match and you didn't go outside it or on top, it was very disappointing and underwhelming. And like they moved away from that. They did well in hindsight to kind of condition us to not just be fully used to it. Because again, every single year I was expecting someone to fly through it or fly off it, So it's been a while. So I mean, they're not two guys that I'd see doing that. If anyone's going through it or off it, it's Balor.
It's Balor. Yeah, Edge will throw him off
because of health. Like I could see Edge going off the side into the announce table, though. To be fair, Luke says I prefer the red cell. If I'm honest, always found the silver ones look like a cheap chicken cage. Oh, Lucas, no, it's industrial looking. It's hardcore,
awful.
man. It's hardcore. Right, what we're gonna do, guys, in a moment. Actually, we're gonna get Andy to join us as well. Of course, he was on the stream last night from inside SoFi Stadium, and he's going to be joining us in just a moment to kind of give us a bit of a gauge as to what's going on there as well. So again, we bring you a lot of different stuff here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel and a lot of things within the build-up. We'd love to get our friends from the wrestling media on as well. So hopefully we're going to get Andy joining us in just a moment and bring you kind of live content from Los Angeles, man.
Yeah, I will say, obviously, I don't want to cut you off, but when he does come in, if he sounds choppy, if it sounds laggy and stuff like that, don't refresh the channel. It's not us. It's just the internet connection that he's got there isn't the strongest, so his video might stop, but his audio will continue.
Yeah, there we go.
So just be aware, because obviously yesterday we didn't know how it was going to turn out. It could be the same today. It might not be. It could be better.
There we go.
Just be prepared.
There we go. I got a bit of a preview. It's looking a bit better. There we go. Andy, how you doing, mate?
Hey.
Good, mate. Yeah, it's an Andy problem, not a you problem, basically.
No, it's not you, man. I mean, look, you're around nearly 100,000 people. You know, there's a lot of phone signal going on.
Did you almost just tell me it's not you, it's me? I've heard that too many times.
You look
by
dashing, by the way. Looking great, mate.
That's another podcast for another day, mate. How you feeling?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, I've had a beer, so I'm a little bit jolly.
Don't you worry, mate. I'm with you.
Yeah, and I'm just with the lads from Give Me a Hall. Yeah, they're lurking around as well. But as you can see in the distance, or not the distance, it's just behind me. You can see the beautiful SoFi Stadium in all its glory.
What's it like around the area, mate? Because it's a brand new stadium, right? So it's kind of like that kind of village atmosphere. Is that what it got going on?
Not quite. You can see there is like these kind of like pop-up merchandise things like around the stadium, but there's a lot of car parks. But there is where we've just been sat enjoying a couple of beers. Is there's like a big sort of like lake area where there's the big SoFi Stadium sign. Yeah, and it is nice. It's just there's not a lot here. If you walk out a little bit, there is like restaurants and bars. I can see in the distance they're building a new stadium for one of the one of the Los Angeles basketball teams. I'm trying to remember which one it is, maybe the Clippers or something. But yeah, there's a few bits and pieces. It's not too bad. It's just not a lot, really.
It kind of reminds me of Wembley. When they rebuilt Wembley, it took them about 10, 15 years to add in everything along Wembley Way, didn't it? So I imagine it's going to get there someday. But it looks beautiful there, mate. How's the weather? It looks great.
Yeah, definitely the hottest day so far that I've been here. Wearing trousers is a mistake, but it's a bit of a breeze. So like yesterday, it was like, I think it hit about 3 matches from the end, and you could feel a bit of a breeze coming through around the Dom versus Ray match, which was kind of just, it took it was just a bit of a chill in the air. So it was nice. It was bearable. It's definitely better than being home and being in like 7 or 8 degrees. So yeah, it's nice. But very warm at the moment.
You got your suntan lotion though, right? Factor 50. Make sure you're all good. You're prepared.
I didn't yesterday. I don't know if you can see. I've got a bit of a sunburn on the top of the head, so I've got the hat on today to try and stop that. Yeah, the old bald patch at the back's got a bit of a roasting yesterday.
Well, if I went in the sun, it'd just be really bad here and here. So don't worry.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Then you have like a reverse Rey Mysterio mask.
What's the atmosphere like there, Andy, mate?
Cutting it a little bit out there, but yeah, the atmosphere was really good yesterday, so I'm hoping it'll be the same today. I can hear a lot of noise coming from the stadium as well, so it's building nicely. We're an hour and 15 away from the start, but yeah, the atmosphere was brilliant inside yesterday, and it wasn't even just for like 1 or 2 matches. There was like in every single match there was noise for everything involved. I thought the win for Ray got a massive pop, which was cool. And I think when they did the Snoop like lowrider into the Eddie Guerrero, that was cool because there's obviously a lot of like sort of Mexican, Spanish, Hispanic people here. So like that playing that theme tune just got the reaction they wanted. So yeah, that was massive. The Charlotte versus Rhea match, like I think it was a bit quiet at the beginning, but when that match got going, people really got behind it. And then everyone I spoke to has kind of name dropped that as one of their matches of last night. So that's really cool. Wow. And then saying the main event, like that just built into a crescendo at the end, and like just like someone popped a bottle of champagne and the noise at the end when they won. So I'm just wondering, if the same happens today. And the Cody match, it goes Cody's way. Will it be the same again? So I think they probably will want that noise even more so today.
Yeah, I think obviously whether or not Cody does it, I don't know. But I think if he does, the moment's going to be huge, and they're gonna be just as loud as they were last night. Got a few questions for you here as well, by the way, from Lucas in the chat. So I'm going to throw them your way. So first of all, he said the crowd sounded hot as AF last night, and hopefully tonight similar. But also says, are lots of people going to both nights, or are more attending just tonight than they were last night? Are you kind of getting a vibe from people there that are going one night, or is it a 2-night thing for most people?
I will say, because this is my first 2-night one, I was a little bit kind of like interested in that myself as well. There does seem to be a lot of people who are going to both nights. Everyone who I've spoke to seems to or they're saying that they're going to the same, they're going to both nights, and you stay in the same seat if you got your combo tickets, or some people are moving around just to get a different perspective. But the vast majority of people that I've spoken to are doing both nights. So it'd be interesting to see, how people are feeling today, if they were out drinking last night, etc. So looking forward to seeing what the atmosphere is like.
Brilliant. Okay, and before you let you go, mate, quickly, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, what do you reckon is going to happen?
I think when all said and done tonight, no matter what happens in the future, I think we'll be seeing some confetti raining down for to crown Cody as a new champion. I just think, in terms of if you look from the perspective of where do you go if Roman wins the title? Yes, they've got that 1,000-day mark coming up for in Saudi in a couple of months, but what do you do in the meantime? Like, who defends? Like, who's pushing for the belt? Like, where's the storylines there? Yes, you got Money in the Bank. That doesn't come till after that. Are they really going to tread water for that long? It just feels a little bit more like they've backed themselves into a corner in terms of what do you do next. But they have been very good recently in making those different storylines. So I wouldn't be surprised any way it goes tonight. I thought Cody would be the overwhelming favourite. If we speak to people here, there's people who are saying they wouldn't be angry if Roman did retain. So the decision's definitely been a bit more split than I expected. I thought there'd be a lot of support behind Cody, and there is, don't get me wrong, but there's also sort of, it wouldn't be the worst news. Interesting enough, I don't know if you guys have covered it, because obviously I haven't been able to kind of dip in too much. There's a lot of chatter going on about this UFC link that's broken. And how that affects it.
We did touch on it a little bit. What are you thinking about the news of that? It sounds like we could we get confirmation about it tomorrow, but what are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see what they do. Like, UFC fans, if you speak to them, don't really speak very highly of WWE. It's not it's not something that crosses too much, but you do get a lot of WWE fans that are UFC fans as well. That way around makes sense. But it'd be interesting to see if it affects anything, because the last couple of days you've heard news about Vince signing a new contract for his employment, and whether that's linked to this as well is an interesting one. To be quite frank, as long as they're turning out content like they were yesterday and hopefully like tonight, I don't really care, to be honest. They just need to make sure that the content and the momentum is carrying on the way it is, and that starts tonight and carries on tomorrow on Raw.
Brilliant. All right, mate. Well, like I said yesterday, when you joined us then, and when you join us on the NXT show, thank you so much for joining us, buddy. Give yourself a little chance to plug your stuff as well. So go ahead with that.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Sporty19. I'll be tweeting a bit more today because I've got a bit more phone battery. It ran out yesterday and I had to walk back to my hotel for an hour.
Oh, you did, yeah.
So I've got my my GoPro today, so I can take a bit more videos and allow myself some social media time. So you'll find me live tweeting today. So I'll put in some videos up from inside the stadium to get it from my perspective. There's a Cody Rhodes feature that's gone live over on rushonrock.com. I really enjoyed writing it, delving into Cody's kind of story, as it were, because we all know by now he's here to finish the story. So it's been nice telling that story and putting my own kind of words to that. So go check out the articles that are on there, and then in the next few days there'll obviously be some sort of reviews and things going on as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to see what you guys are doing tonight, and looking forward to following on social media with you as well.
Brilliant, mate. Yeah, once again, thank you so much for joining us, mate, and have a good time at WrestleMania. Say hello to Dom and the other guys there as well, and we look forward to having you back on the build-up in future, mate.
I will do, mate. I'll probably catch you at some point next week, but enjoy the show, guys.
Thank you, man. Take care. All right, well, how about that, guys? A lovely kind of jump in there, a little bit of a cameo from Andy joining us. Of course, as you mentioned there, a writer at Russian Rock, also works on Wrestling Royalty here on YouTube as well, and you can find him at Sporzy19 on Twitter as well. A great guy, Andy, someone that I met covering Clash at the Castle, as well as a few of the other journalists that we've had on the build-up show over the last few months. It's becoming a real destination, Rob, man. It's a nice little feeling, isn't it? We haven't had as many guests this month because, like we say, this is a busy time, of course, for the wrestling media. You know, we're all doing our own thing. We, they're kind enough to give us their time jumping on our PLE live streams, build-up shows at least, every single month. these days. But this month has been a little bit tough, of course, to track people down, especially those that are out there in the States at the moment. But so thankful for Andy for giving us his time.
Yeah, man, it's always great to have people coming into the especially the build up, the RN Pro Wrestling party, as I like to feel, because something's always happening. It's something's always going down. There's either breaking news or just Ronnie Storm randomly pops up from his pirate cove or where.
There he is. There he is.
He's about so the most random things happen, especially with breaking news and that. But yeah, it's lovely to have more people coming on and obviously growing the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling family and being associated with other people. We have many people that have helped us get to the 500 subscribers. Obviously, we want to keep it growing.
100%. Yeah. So as Rob alluded to there, we've just hit 500. So we'd appreciate if you're new here or if you've been here several times before, but you haven't already, please hit that beautiful red button and subscribe. There we go. Lucas says, surely they got to put charger points in stadiums now. It's crazy. I mean, there's a lot of modern facilities in these obviously modern stadiums, but at the same time, charging points, I guess 80,000 people is a bit tough. Not all of them are going to need to charge their phone.
How big's that electricity bill?
Sure. I get where you're coming from, though, Lucas. They got to kind of figure something out because it's especially if you're in another country, it's a nightmare, man. Like, and you can't always take in these kind of portable chargers and things like that, and bags and whatever else. So there we go. Anyway, guys, everyone that's watching with us live, thank you so much for joining us. We are the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel, and what we're doing here is a build up towards WrestleMania Night 2. We were here for Night 1 as well, and I know a lot of people like to watch these streams on demand as well, because not only do we preview the show, we go into these kind of in-depth conversations about kind of storylines going forward and things in the past as well. And of course, the big story at the moment is the potential sale of WWE as well. So thank you to those watching live or on demand. If you are with us live at the moment, please comment. Let us know what you think is going to happen tonight at WrestleMania. What you most looking forward to here at WrestleMania as well. It'd be really good to get your input on that. And again, we asked the question earlier on, if Finn Balor is dressing up as something from Hollywood tonight, what's it going to be? There was a few years ago in NXT, did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in Texas. Yep. Of course, when he come to London, he did Jack the Ripper. If you want to know a bit more about that and the process behind that, then check out our video on the original Rebellious Noise channel. If you go to our channel here, go to the bottom, there's all the Rebellious Noise channels there, and you can find my original interview with Finn
probably
Balor.
Your favorite one, right?
Yeah, one of my favorite conversations. And of course, we did get to chat to him a few months ago for this channel as well, where he was talking about being a heel, the future of the Demon, and why he hadn't really used it as well, and what his kind of original plans for his return to NXT would have been as well. We've also had some great chats over the years with other superstars such as Drew McIntyre. We also got to have a great conversation with Kevin Owens a few months back as well. And of course, the brand new SmackDown Women's Champion, Rhea Ripley. So if that sounds interesting to you guys, check those videos out. And we'd love it if you subscribe, because we've got a lot more coming throughout 2023 as well. Lucas is saying Ghostface as well. So it looks like we're all in this Ghostface train. I think that's a good idea, man. I really hope it is. What you going to say, mate?
Yeah, I mean, look, I love the graphics that you do, but I always question, of all the parts of the video that you pick, why is it you always pick the moment where you're looking lovingly into the wrestler's eyes?
No, you've got it, man.
I mean, there's quite a few. The one with you looking at Finn Balor, it's just beautiful. And the one with you looking at Bobby Lashley, I love it. It's one of my favorites.
Bobby Lashley. Let me see if I can get the Lashley one up. Hold on. Where's the Lashley one? There I am, in love with Bobby Lashley.
It's like, find yourself someone that looks at you the same way Scott looks at Bobby Lashley. That's
you know what? Talking about Love Fest, I had a real little Love Fest with Imperium. If you remember that interview, we're just kind of giving each other compliments and things like that at the beginning of that podcast. Of that interview as well. So yeah, again, guys, if you
look like the third member of Imperium there, by the way. You're rocking that. You look great.
We're all wearing Fred Perry and appreciate each other's Fred Perry.
Well, so, you can't. Now you're rocking a Bullet Club. It's the wrong show completely, but sure.
Hey, this is for the main event, but we'll get to that in a little bit as well. Let's get back to the matter at hand, though. Of course, WrestleMania Night 2. Excuse me for the burp there again. The build-up shows are a little wild. We did a red carpet preview the other day. We did our predictions and preview as far as Dan and Lucas goes as well. And we can't change our predictions, Rob. They are locked in. But what we're going to do now is go through the rest of the cards and talk about, well, whether or not we would have changed them if we could have. We've talked about the Show Us What You Got tag team special, as we're branding it. and also the Hell in a Cell. So we'll go for the one in the middle now. Brock Lesnar versus Omos. And I said on our predictions episode that, and on our lineup kind of podcast as well, that this, when it was first announced, I weren't about it, mate. I really weren't about it. It felt like a real frustrating step back when it comes to what Brock's been doing. But I've got to say, the build has been fantastic. And I suddenly realized in the weeks leading up to WrestleMania that I'm okay with it. Like, is it like, would I rather see Brock somewhere else? Yes. But I also don't want him in the main event scene. So this is kind of a good thing. It's going to make Omos look good, whether he wins or loses, to be on a big stage like that. And of course, it's all about whether or not Brock can F5 Omos. And mate, I just cannot wait to see if he can do it.
Yeah, like actually the build-up's been crazy. And do you know what? I said this, I think, when we got the card reveal and who's on night 1, night 2, and stuff like that. But the build-up, at first I looked at it, I was like, I don't like the idea of this match. I think everyone was skeptical. Then they kind of started doing a little bit of the build-up. I was like, this is not great. And then we had this moment where Omos was out in the ring. Out comes Brock Lesnar, and Brock is hitting the ropes like he's just come off a 2002 run, kind of, and he's like the undisputed champion. He's hitting the ropes, and mate, it looked like he just wanted to plow through Omos and just split Omos in half with the way that he threw his body at him. It was amazing. It's like probably one of my favorite Brock moments for at least the last few months. And now we've got this cowboy Brock, and he's just having fun, and I think that's the best kind of. The wrestler's there and he's having fun and he's doing what he wants to do and enjoying it. Then the thing you're going to get from that is so much more in the ring as well. Because there was times when Ambrose spoke about Brock not wanting to prep a match and he wanted to do the easiest stuff and get out. But this Brock is different. I think like he's found a love for the wrestling again. So if that is the case, I can't wait to see what happens. But as you said, I think the big moment is, can he do the F5 to Omos? I mean, we'll find out tonight. It's going to be interesting. I mean, if anyone can do it, it's going to be Brock. So what are your thoughts? What do you reckon? Do you think it's going to happen, or do you think they're going to save it to a later date?
No, I mean, there is no later date for me, man. Like if you're going to do it, it's going to be at WrestleMania, right? It's got to be that moment. So I don't want to count Brock out, but there is a part of me thinking, can he do it? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, he's getting older. Omos is massive. Like, can he really do it? That I'm not too sure. But mate, I'd love to see it. And we'll hopefully see some sort of spectacle. Whether it's live, I think something big's going to happen between these guys as well. Let's get to a few more of these comments here as well. We've got Sludge Sports says it's weird seeing Gunther smiling in that picture, of course, referring to the thumbnail for the interview I did with Imperium. Look, what can I say, mate? I made him smile. It's not often you see him smiling, but hey, what does that say about me and my interview skills? Also says Lesnar wins by a crazy F5. I think that's likely, to be honest. Lucas says Brock vs. Omos I'm really excited about. Phil W can't win with Brock as fans moan if he's in the main event, but then also moans if he's lowering himself, like facing Omos. Great point, man. Like, I think, like people wanting to put over new talent, do they not? So I think, it's because people don't like Omos the same way they like, X, Y, Z. Do you know what I mean? That's the problem.
Maybe, look, I'll quickly comment on that. Obviously, I get what's being said there. I don't think if Brock lowers himself down a card, I guess, should we say, right? I'm not against that. We were saying that someone like Brock should be going for the IC title. I'd love to see Brock versus Gunther. That's something I'd love to see. And him adding credibility to the IC title. Gunther's done a great job so far. If he was going to lose it to anyone, obviously we'll get onto that match. And if he retains tonight, I would love to see that feud. We spoke about the IC being in the Elimination Chamber and having all the big guys in there. Drew, Gunther, Brock, Sheamus, like having all them guys in and going for the IC title, making it so prestigious. But maybe we'll get that at a later date, because I would love to see it if that's the case. But I don't think it's about Brock being in the mid or lower mid card kind of thing. My issue was it was Omos. Like, where did that come from? It felt
I think it's because we don't know what they're going to do with Omos anyway. It seemed like the Omos project was abandoned a few months ago. So
after Braun come back, it was like, well, we don't need Omos now.
I guess this is a positive then, man. Like it's and again, I've seen a few things from Omos and I like behind the scenes stuff, and I'm like, he seems like a nice dude. Like, I want him to be successful. You know what I mean? Like, and I think the build's been great. I think they've kind of highlighted their strengths, and that's what you need to do with a big guy. You know, they did it with Great Khali, you know, for years. Do you know what I mean? So it's it'll be interesting to see what happens tonight, and I really do hope it is a big moment for Omos, as much as it is for the WWE to get the spectacle highlight reel kind of move. I really hope that tonight will be good for Omos as well.
Yeah.
Lucas says, surely they wouldn't have booked it if he can't F5 him. Mate, yeah, I guess unless he's going to lose, do you know what I mean? And they never get that to that point. Also says, no, Brock has only ever fought for world titles. It's just his thing. Yeah, so we've had this conversation before, of course, when Lucas was on the stream about, you know, whether or not, you know, going down to... I'm with you, Rob. I like elevating the IC by having Brock, you know, make it important. Mm-hmm. But I understand where Lucas is coming from, this kind of like, you know, rookie year, become world champion and never looking back sort of thing. So
yeah, but nowadays if it is about having fun, I think for him it's more like, I just want to wrestle. So if he just wants to wrestle, and let's say, for example, he's looking at Gunther and the person that he wants to target next is Gunther. If Gunther's got the IC title still, you think he's going to go, oh no, forget it, I don't want the feud because he's got the IC title. Like, no, not a chance. If there is a chance to make Gunther look strong and the IC title could be on the line, of course Brock's going to take it. Like, okay, yeah, he was a heavyweight champion and he'd done loads of stuff, but he's not a Grand Slam champion, no? So surely that's got to be on his list. I mean, Cena's not even a Grand Slam champion, and the Miz is a 2-time Grand Slam champion. So, like, people drop down the card and for them sort of things. I'm not saying Brock has to drop down all the time. Yeah. But if he dropped down to the IC title and people were talking about it, it immediately people are like, well, who's now going to take that off Brock? It's a reason. And if Roman's still champion at that time, a point in time, then we need another title on the line, because Theory's the only one that seems to be making the title important until Gunther was around. So well, now we've got two of them. You know, let's do it, man. If it happens, I want to see Brock go for the RC title. I'm not against it at all.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I get where you're both coming from there, but I guess, yeah, Brock doesn't have to win it. But then the problem is that, like, Brock's loaded himself by even going for it in character. I think the character of Brock is what.
Yeah, but it's a different character now.
Yeah, that's it.
When it was the Beast, it was different. Now he's just, you know,
happy-go-lucky. I want to have fun. Yeah. Right, let's move on to. We talked about quite a bit there, of course, the Intercontinental title, and I think we'd be wrong for kind of acting as if it doesn't already mean a lot by what we've been seeing going on with it lately. This match, Drew McIntyre versus Gunther versus Sheamus. Man, this is up there with kind of one of those matches that could potentially become talked about, you know, for years. We talked about it quite a bit on the channel. Of course, we had the privilege of being able to cover Clash at the Castle in Cardiff in depth on this channel. And, you know, just kind of being there in person and seeing Gunther versus Sheamus was amazing. Yeah, I wanted Sheamus to win it. Again, we keep talking about, you know, he's actually, you know, he's not from the UK, he's from Ireland, but, you know, this side of the water, at least from the Atlantic, and of course he did a lot of his wrestling here in the UK as well. So it would have been a fantastic moment, almost a home crowd is what I'm saying. I think that moment now, because of that, should come at Money in the Bank in London. I don't know if it will. Now we go back to our predictions originally, and of course we can't change these. These are locked in. By the way, we all went for Brock in that last match. Now with this one here, all of us went for Gunther except for Lucas, who actually went for Drew McIntyre. Now, since I've seen a bit more around this feud in this past week, I think if I was going to change my mind, it might go to Drew as a heel. We shared it on Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling Twitter earlier on. If you're not following us already, please give us a bit of a follow over there on the channel.
I'm not sure if anyone else can hear it.
Sheamus was just hurt, you know.
Yeah, but I didn't hear a word you said. You were just like cutting in. You were just cutting in and cutting out.
No worries.
You were just sounding like a robot. And I was like, if I'm talking over you, everyone else can hear it or not.
That's all right. I can see it was going. Apologies for that, guys. Live and all that stuff. Wi-Fi can be temperamental, of course. Right. What I was saying is on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling's Twitter at RN Pro Wrestling, we shared this video that was put up by BT Sport about from Sheamus and Drew, and it was in character. And basically, Drew, but it was shot as if it wasn't. It was fantastic. I don't know if you've seen it, Rob, but Sheamus was basically saying, like, I'm hurt, like when you beat Brock in the PC in front of no one, like after your journey coming back, I felt like I won, and you knew what this meant to me, and now you've done this to me, and you've put yourself in the match. They're really playing up to that at the moment, and it could go one or two ways. It could turn into Sheamus the whinger, and he becomes the heel, or it could turn into Drew going straight up badass heel, not caring about his friends' feelings. Because they've done this for some reason, other than surely just giving Drew a big role at WrestleMania.
So I'm quite skeptical because I don't know if you've seen, but Drew and WWE haven't agreed a new contract yet.
Apparently, that's word on the street. Yeah,
word from the bird. But at the moment, I mean, from a business standpoint, obviously, I don't want to put a business brain on because that's not me. That's just you, Scott. But if you've got an employee that hasn't signed a contract yet and you're not sure where they're going, do you want to put a title on them if they could be walking out soon? Like walking out,
but you don't know when that is, though.
Nicely.
They could put the title on him to encourage him to stay. It could be a month away from now, and if not, they take the title off him. But again, that's always risky. What happened with Bret Hart, So
exactly. But I would say right now, again, I think the way it's going to end, if Sheamus wins tonight, my thought is the way it's going to end is Drew will hit Gunther with a Claymore, and then we'll turn, and as he turns around, he'll get Brogue kicked, or Gunther will do a finish, like a finish at some sort of thing, and take out Drew completely. And as the process of him doing that, he then gets a Brogue kick from Sheamus, and Sheamus does that and picks up the win. But the problem is, we want to make Gunther look strong. So, I mean, the only thing I like the idea of, which probably not a lot of people agree with, but Sheamus pins Drew, but he falls on him. So if he gets knocked out and falls on him for the pin, and he pins Drew,
if you do that, it should be the other way around.
Because... I mean, yeah, if that happens, I'm all for it because it's a feud and it falls into this story. I would like the idea of the accident.
They could play up Drew, not meaning to do it. Sheamus wouldn't care. Like Sheamus going to feel like you've screwed me by.
It makes him a bigger babyface too.
Yeah, like
I need Sheamus a big babyface.
Yeah, interesting. Sludgeport says it's between Sheamus and Gunther for them. And Lucas saying Robot Scott. Yeah, hopefully I'm back to regular Scott now. Also says Drew's contract is about another 8 months apparently, so it isn't like Punk Money in that bank sort of deal. Okay, thanks for the clarity there, Lucas.
I mean, even though it's 8 months, that's still a while away. But you think if you've got a talent like Drew and you want to know that they're confident, and the same thing happened with Owens. They don't want to get it down to the wire. Go, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and when we get him, then he's like, you're going back to the US title. You're going to be in a tag team.
See, with me,
you have to be careful with that.
With Drew, I think he'd need some assurances, but at the same time, this is a man who ain't scared to bet on himself. The whole reason why he is the Drew McIntyre he is today is because of what happened when he got let go. So it will be interesting to see what happens as far as negotiations go. Sludge Sports also says, but Sheamus becoming Grand Slam champion at Mania, that would be huge. Yeah, look, for me, it's Money in the Bank because I'm selfish and I want to be there. But look, I just think somewhat of a home crowd, over this side of the ocean, like I said, I think it'll be a great moment. Because we were so close to getting it in Cardiff, both Drew and Sheamus. Also says Gunther loses, is going to get a standing ovation. I'd like that because he's made this title mean a lot. And if he loses, he's got to be moving on to the main event scene for me, and that would have to be against Cody Rhodes, and I wouldn't be against that. Sheamus is crazy underrated as well. Yeah, 100% agree, man. I think I like that they're really just kind of going into this babyface Sheamus of like, I just need one more thing. Like, I'm getting towards the end of my career, and it's making him very, very likable. I think all the stuff with Drew has been pretty cool as well. I've liked the storyline. You can see it as like a step back for Drew. It's a step back for both of them. They're former world champions, but at the same time, it feels more so for Drew because he was in that limelight and what much more recently, you know. But I've enjoyed this feud. I don't know where it's going after this, whether or not it'll just be one-on-one because neither of them win the title. As much as I loved their last feud against each other, I don't want to see that at this moment in time, unless it is completely refreshed and Drew is a full-blown heel, which is possible. You know, maybe Drew wants to do something like that because let's be honest, when he a few months ago, before the clash thing, before we all got behind him potentially winning, he had become quite stale and we went against him for a bit. So it's going to happen again sooner or later. So turning him into a heel will be great. We haven't seen heel Drew McIntyre for quite a while now because he come up to the main roster as a heel. But
I was going to say it was with Dolph Ziggler, wasn't it?
Dolph Ziggler, that's it. Yeah. So, but yeah, going back to Lucas's comment there, 100% agree. Sheamus is crazy underrated. When he hangs up his boots, like he's going to be looked at. Well, he should be looked at as one of the best to ever do it. Non-American, probably the best non-American. Let's say North American, because there's been a lot of Canadian greats. Don't get me wrong, Bret the Hitman Hart and things like that. But let's say European, best European wrestler of all time. Far as like, you know, I'm not talking in ring and all this stuff. Not that he's not good himself, but like the total package and accomplishments and things he's done within the business. I think Sheamus is arguably the greatest European wrestler of all time.
Yeah, that's up for debate. That's I'll tell you what, that could make a podcast.
That's a podcast. Let's do it.
But how would you feel? Obviously, I don't want to take the idea away from Sheamus not winning the IC title in his career. But what if it's the one thing that Sheamus just could never do, which is win the IC title to make a Grand Slam?
No, you got to do it, man. You got to give a guy like that. So you know that he deserves.
Yeah,
it,
but I mean,
he deserves it.
Which
unless he weirdly goes, I want this crazy story, and people will remember me for this story. You know, you think of, you know, somewhat similar Scott Hall, Roddy Piper never winning the world title type thing. You know, like it's. But I don't think it'd be talked about in the same way. People don't talk about Grand Slams in the same way they talk about those that never won the world title. So
yeah, but there's only a small amount of people that wouldn't have done it.
Well, wouldn't have done it, but that got close. Yeah, I guess. Takita Watson says Cody Rhodes going to be undisputed champion. He's going to finish the story and beat Roman Reigns. We're going to get to that in a bit. Takita, thank you so much for joining us, buddy. And it's a possibility. It's a possibility. I'm looking forward to this match and looking forward to diving into it in a little bit. We're going to go for a few more matches here as well. Bruno Sammartino. Is that about European wrestling? Oh, okay, of course, yeah. Bruno, of course.
They say of the modern era.
Good point. That's a great point.
We'll put that in.
So where did Bruno? Yeah, because Bruno moved to the States, didn't he? Of course, to wrestle. This is a great point, actually. I was, you know what? I've got to say quickly, I was blessed, privileged enough to be in a room in Madison Square Garden when Bruno Sammartino got inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I've got to say, Rob, it was one of the coolest moments as a wrestling fan. I just felt so appreciative to be there. A man who, you know, the Garden was his home. In Bruno, so yeah, great point there. So sports, you cannot forget names like Bruno. But yeah, going on what you say, Rob. I guess if we're talking modern era, is Sheamus. You're going all time, Bruno without a doubt. Great point. Thanks for kind of bringing that up.
And obviously, you're talking about you were being in attendance for the Hall of Fame. If you do like the idea of the Hall of Fame and you're not sure, and if you like how it is now, me and Scott are able to sit down together, properly together, looking lovely into each other's eyes, and talk about how the Hall of Fame should be done. Because a lot has changed, and I don't want to ruin the video, but we have some very, very strong opinions that we are both agreed on of how the Hall of Fame should actually be done.
Definitely. I mean, I've been passionate about this for a while, but as you can see just from the thumbnail, I think it's not what it used to be. Talking about looking great into each other's eyes, mate. Look at this shot between us as well. We are happy to be in the same room there. We're talking about how to fix WWE WrestleMania week, because I'm sure you're all aware.
Why have you done me dirty with that graphic though? Like, I'm not even smiling.
Because we're in middle chat. Yeah, you're doing an interesting point. No, anyway, it was great to sit down and do some in-person podcasts. Again, they're on this channel. If you haven't seen them already, please give it a chance. We're talking about how to fix WWE WrestleMania week, because again, it's such an exciting time for wrestling fans, but it is overly packed and congested, and there are ways to make it better. So if you're interested in our thoughts, how to fix WWE WrestleMania week, how to fix the Hall of Fame, then check those videos out as well. Let's get to a few more comments here as well. Such Sports also says British Bulldog, great shout there as well. I think British Bulldog was the guy up until the kind of, you know, but then we got Regal, and then we got Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. So like as much as like, growing up, Bulldog was the man. I think we got to be honest with ourselves and say Drew is more successful than British Bulldog nowadays. It's a nostalgia thing from that era. Bulldog paved the way. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to downplay Bulldog.
He walked so we could Drew could run, basically. That's how I look at that. I was gonna say though, if you like the idea of the British Bulldog, which you want to talk about that, we've done a SummerSlam watch along, and the moment where Bulldog gets that win, if you go back, my eyes light up, and I'm so happy.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you just want to see it for that, then obviously we do a watch along. So just go onto the network, or if you've got a VHS tape or DVD, click play at the same time as us, and we have a great fun conversation. Obviously it's a different type of wrestling to what we're used to now, but it was fun to do. I love these watch alongs. It's so good.
Yeah, me too, man. If you guys got any ideas for retro watch-alongs you want us to do as well, because we've done a few more SummerSlams in that season as well. 02, we did ECW One Night Stand, which was a lot of fun as well. We've done Survivor Series 02 and also Survivor Series 2013. Let me tell you, mate, there was a big difference between those two and a big difference between the current product and 2013's product as well. But anyway, also that's 2012, wasn't it? Into 2013, we did the Royal Rumble because they're very close, of course. But anyway, let us know if you do fancy seeing some more kind of retro watch-alongs on this channel as well. We see the graphic there, guys. A big thing, of course, happening last night was a feel-good moment between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn winning the titles. Guys, if you want to hear our thoughts on the main event from last night, then I would love it if you checked out our instant reaction podcast as well. Again, I know it's all about night 2 tonight, but if you get some time tomorrow, then please subscribe and check out the rest of the videos on this channel as well. Let's get to a few more comments here, Rob. We've got a answer here from Lucas. Why are we talking about Bruno? Lucas, don't be disrespectful, man. Come on. Bruno, Suspect's got a point there. Modern era, it's a different conversation. Remove fans from Hall of Fame, mate. Lucas, that's pretty
controversial.
That's kind of close to what we were saying. We weren't saying remove fans, but we were definitely talking about things that need to change with the fans. And I understand where you come from.
Watch the video.
Yeah,
but everyone's
similar opinions, I'd imagine, on that. Jackson Albert says Cody Rhodes will win and take out Roman Reigns' belt and write his ending. Okay, well, that could be the case, Jackson. Thank you very much for joining us, buddy. Hope you're a subscriber. If you're not already,
if not,
please do it.
Hit the button.
Exactly that. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Whether you're joining for the first time or the 58th time, we appreciate it. Like and subscribe. We've done quite a lot of streams now. The channel's growing, man. The channel's growing. Right, let's move on to the next match. Oh, before we do, let's bring up a comment here. Bulldog would always be the best British wrestler who went to WWF, in my opinion. Drew, yes, achieved more, but Bulldog wrestled in a much bigger era. Yes, I'd say you're right. I mean, you're talking 2 eras, really. 3 eras. You got the kind of golden generation. He's on the tail end of that, and then into the new generation. He's a big part of that. And then, he literally goes down the card in this, in the golden generation.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? It's crazy.
He gets a bit of a main event-ish kind of moment, at least at SummerSlam. The new generation, he kind of is like a mid card going, kind of main event again, and then the Attitude Era, he goes fully into kind of lower on the card as well. But he was thereabouts for most of it, and some great moments from the British Bulldog. Yeah, big fan of Bulldog. Don't get me wrong. I just think I think Drew is definitely done more. When you look at it now, it's undeniable for me. Look, if Drew would have got that moment in Cardiff, no conversation for me. No question. Again, as much as I love Bulldog, but again, Lucas's point though, being at the top, even for a brief bit in an era that was huge. You look at the Attitude Era, for example. We'd look at those guys to be like Kane in the Attitude Era is a bigger name than someone headlining in, let's choose a random year, 2013, because we've been talking about it in 2012. Kane is a bigger star than the person that's on top in 2012.
I think it was different though, because wrestling was hotter back then, because that was kind of that era where it was random things, wrestling, South Park, all the stuff that we don't watch now because it's not the coolest. At that point was badass, and it was so cool. Yeah. And it's a different era. Yeah. It's
interesting though. It's great to bring these conversations up. I really like having them. Right, let's move on though. We've been talking quite a bit about the IC match, but of course it can be, match of the night, match of the week, and then as Lucas said on his own predictions, possibly match of the year. I'm so looking forward to it. Actually, before we move on, go on. What was you going to say? And we'll wrap up more on. Gunther.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, obviously, I know these guys. They probably don't watch a lot of streams. Obviously, they see a lot of stuff on Twitter and things like that. Mentally going through their mind, I would love to think and ask them how big how do they think, or do they know that we are possibly
Like, there's
saying
that
this match could be
expectation.
massive?
Yeah.
Like, imagine what's going through their mind. Like, do
I
you
think
they
they've
know
got
that
to
we're
at some
saying that?
point, because they've got to be aware of the buzz that came out of the one-on-one version of this match. You know, they've got to be aware of that. So yeah, somewhat. But man, I'm just so looking forward to it. What I wanted to ask before we do move on to the next match, actually, is what do you think of Gunther? If Gunther does lose this here, will it be a good thing because he's potentially moving into the main event scene? And then if he keeps the title here, where did we go with Gunther? When does he lose it? You know, like what's better for Gunther, basically? Weirdly enough, is it better for him to lose the title?
See, yes and no. I guess it kind of, I don't want to say too much because it falls into the Roman Cody thing, but let's just say we'll talk just loosely on it. Let's say Roman retains, Gunther loses. Gunther could be that next person to go for Roman. But my concern is if they're going to do the Roman of 1,000 days now, because if Roman retains, it seems like that's what they're going to do. Gunther shouldn't be the next person to fall to Roman. That
wouldn't make sense either. Like, Gunther's a badass heel. He can't be babyface.
Exactly. So by dethroning Roman, he would become so much of a big babyface that turning him heel would be even harder, because you couldn't then hate him because he's the one that beat Roman. You know, it's a weird dynamic. So I think it's safer for him to keep the IC if he loses it going into the feud for it. However, I wouldn't be against him winning Money in the Bank if that was the way we were going to go, because Gunther with a Money in the Bank, I mean, Gunther on his own with them chops is already dangerous.
Cool. Yeah,
him having the idea of having them chops and that Money in the Bank, that's even worse. So
now, Money in the Bank, a lot of people are talking about someone else, LA Knight. We'll talk about him in just a moment as well. So remind me, just in case I forget, Rob. But I'm going to get to this comment here from Lucas as well. It says, if Gunther loses, I think Roman will retain. Now, a lot of times we do kind of predict these shows going, well, this depends on this depends on this. Great point now. I haven't thought about that once, how potentially the result of the IC title match could kind of lead on to the world title. You know, I think that's true. I think if Gunther loses, you know, we've all been saying, he's moving into the main event scene. Does that mean he goes on to Roman? I think the opposite to Lucas then. Yeah, no, I think if Gunther loses, it means Cody's winning because it gives Cody a challenger, a heel challenger.
And
so
if that is the case, they had their match at the Rumble before Cody threw him over the ropes.
No, stick with Roddy. I like that.
Roddy, yeah, we'll take it.
The Road Dog was the Roddy. Is he back? The Roddy was there helping Jeff Jarrett, throwing him out.
You didn't know.
Hey, nice one.
But yeah, no. Obviously, Cody and Gunther have had a meeting, and it literally felt like another match at the end of the Rumble itself.
Yeah, that was cool.
And that was great to see. So, if Gunther loses and Cody wins tonight, which obviously I'd love to see Cody win, but if that happens, then I'm all for that, because I feel like if Roman does lose, he's taking a hiatus. Like, I don't think that's my thing. I think he has to take a break.
There's been a bit of a rumor about that as well, isn't there? So Rodeo, says Lucas as well. A few more comments from Lucas. Again, touching on Money in the Bank is going to LA Knight, and then of course follows that up with a there we go. Right, let's talk LA Knight, mate, because if he doesn't do something tonight, I'll be very angry.
You're just so angry you could squash a grape.
All right, let's talk about exactly that. We're going to talk about, in this section at least, LA Knight, Bobby Lashley, and the potential around those two things where something interesting could happen. Now, we did kind of have it brought up to us last night, which was fantastic, actually. Something I hadn't even thought about is them two together. I hope it's not. I hope we get two separate moments. Bobby Lashley with KSI, we touched on earlier on. That could be it. If not, I don't know.
That was official, no?
Not quite. But let's touch on LA Knight for a little bit longer. What would you like to see him do tonight, number one? Or what do you think is likely to be? I'll go myself first, and I've said it a few times. my ideal scenario tonight is some interaction with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Whether or not he's going against Austin or somewhat buddying up to Steve Austin, I don't know. But that's what I want to see. What I think will happen is, I think it's kind of likely. So I'm going to go with that as well. What would you say as far as LA Knight tonight?
So I want LA Knight to be Bobby Lashley. Obviously, we want to see him do something. Maybe an open challenge.
We'll get to Bobby in a minute. Yeah, we'll get to Bobby.
Because what a waste of a talent that would be if he's not on the show. Firstly, but LA Knight. Do you know what I'd love to see? Him call the Miz do his thingy. Out comes Austin. All right, or out comes LA Knight. They get into an altercation. Austin comes out. Miz thinks Austin's going to save the day. He'll cut his Stone Cold would do his Stone Cold, what Stone Cold does best. Give the crowd what they want. And I think I don't want to say I'm passing off the torch because I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean it in that way.
But like a kind of like a cosign basically. Like basically being like this guy.
I think LA Knight. If Austin comes out and we have this thing with the Miz and LA Knight, I would say the only person that's getting a stunner is the Miz. LA Knight will not be stunned.
Yeah, I think it would be about making LA Knight a babyface at the moment.
Because
I think it's mad.
I think they need to realize that even though he was a heel going forwards, like at the beginning and all this sort of stuff, and we had the awful stuff that he done with Mace. And
the fact he survived that is crazy. But it was just crazy because I like them as well. It's just not a good fit. You know what I mean? Like at this moment in time, we talked about before. LA Knight, you ain't got a lot of time. As far as on the main roster and being an active competitor, at a reasonable kind of age to be at the top of the roster. So we need to do something with him soon. And I think he's a guy that, fortunately for him, has got that charisma and talent to skyrocket very quickly. We had Andy on earlier on. Thank you so much again to Andy once more. But we've been chatting all weekend really about what the different vibes are again. I've been telling him what it looks like on TV. He's been telling me what it feels like there in person. And we were talking about it. And I mentioned it yesterday as well. But again, LA Knights, is the chant at the moment. Is when there was the yes chant, I was there when it was the Fandango chant. WrestleMania always makes someone. If they don't have him on WrestleMania, they can squash it. Don't get me wrong, but they'd be insane not to do it. And it's usually not the person they want to make. So it will be interesting to see if he is there tonight. I think this will be a made moment. It'll be a made man. Let's say.
The thing that's else is mind-boggling. Sorry, I'm being distracted by a hamster.
Again, guys, trying to sort of build up show because you never know what's going to happen.
It was rustling in the cage. What's that about LA? The thing with LA Knight was he got thrown over the top rope in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Said it right first time. He got thrown over, and the fans were booing the minute he went over. Like they did not want. They wanted him to win. So if whatever, they have to realize he's going to be a babyface. He's the anti-hero. He's not the heel. He's not the babyface. He's the in between. He is the Stone Cold Steve Austin. I guess do we say of our generation, of this era, of what's happening now. So maybe he does get one world title run, but I think for him that's enough because he's loved by fans at the moment. So I don't see. Do you know what I mean? I don't see it being. The worst they can do is not use him, but by using him, I think if anything, it's going to make him a bigger babyface. And I'm not against that, but I like the idea of him being a tweener. So he's not the heel, he's not the babyface. He's that. You get it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's I think the bottom line, weirdly enough, with Austin, it would be mad not to use him tonight as well. Going to get to a few more of these comments here. We've got the pre-show going on with the kickoff at the moment as well.
They got
thankfully, not much going on there. It's not as good as ours, mate. But they're showing. To be fair, they do have the Miz's fantastic song playing once again.
I still didn't hear it, by the way.
What? Oh, it's based on "We Didn't Start the Fire." And it's incredible. But anyway, a few more comments here as well. Lucas says Roman part-time now anyway, so how can he take a hiatus? Fair enough.
So to explain that, I mean, like he'll just take a full break, so he won't be seen for like 5-6 months. I think he'll take a proper lengthy time off.
Sludgeport says I would be fine with Gunther winning Money in the Bank. Also says LA Knight should call out the Miz or Stone Cold. Yeah, same sort of idea for me there. Stone Cold, and again, I can see how the Miz is possibly going to play into that. If LA Knight and Lashley don't appear tonight, it's criminal, but I guess it will be more important for Sean Mooney to come back and defeat the Miz. Also, not Austin unannounced, in my opinion, that's a total liberty. And by the looks of it, the empty seats, they've done better. Basically, they should have announced LA Knight in advance. I imagine it doesn't look great at the moment just because people are piling in, though. You know, I don't think, I mean, yesterday the figure was like 80,000, so I don't think tonight's going to be far off that. It's mad people talking about LA Knight, though, like he's an up and comer. He's 40, exactly that. Yeah, he's not got a lot of time, you know, to be at the top of the card. So he's not getting the world title. You don't think he's, I don't know, man. I think,
listen, if with Great Khali, Jinder Mahal can have it, Braun Strowman can have it, to name a few.
It's a different. It depends what else is going on. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. But yeah, I think he's got incredible potential to be used in a slot like that. But
what do you think of this? So obviously, I don't know if you've seen. Obviously, there's always rumors going around, so we don't know how much is correct, how much is false. But there is the possible idea, apparently, of Triple H not liking the Universal and wanting to split them up. Yeah, LA Knight's 40. Dang. So if Triple H was to break the titles up, if it happens, and they bring back the big gold belt, if there was going to be anyone that could carry that and look really good with it, LA Knight is. Could you imagine?
I can see that.
So I wouldn't be against it.
I can see that. Yeah, we'll have to see. Of course, that kind of a big part of that will be dependent on what happens, of course, in the main event. I'm not sure. Is that the one we're talking about next, Rob? Have we covered everything else? Let's have a look.
Let's take the graphic up. Bianca and Belair.
Oh, Bianca Belair. That's good. Let's talk about that. Now, I think it's in the same boat, of course, with its kind of opposite, really, of the SmackDown Women's title with Charlotte and Rhea. Now, that one I'm more against it, Charlotte and Rhea, because everybody most people didn't want it to headline because it weren't worthy of that as far as storyline goes. But the match, was it worthy of it? 100%. And we said along that was possible. You know, it was a fantastic match, and they went out there with a point to prove. Again, if you want to know what we thought about that more in depth, and then go back and watch our instant reaction podcast whenever you get a chance. Appreciate tonight's going to be a bit busy watching WrestleMania, but that match definitely delivered. Out the two of them, if I picked a match to deliver more, I think I would have gone for Rhea and Charlotte. But then the more I think about it, like, how can I possibly think that Asuka Bianca couldn't also be an absolutely incredible match as well? So what are you thinking about this, mate? It seems a little bit forgotten about and lost in the shuffle, because even still within its kind of similar match on the, you know, suffered from the same thing, really, not a great build. But at least, weirdly enough, the other one had the controversy around it to give him that chip on the shoulder.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? So obviously, for those that have only just joined, they didn't see us on night one, they haven't seen what we've been talking about the whole build up for WrestleMania week. We're not against the idea of women main eventing a main event like WrestleMania or any other PLE, not at all. If you go back and listen to us talk about the Royal Rumble, it was only a couple months ago. I said, if anything, in my opinion, the women's Royal Rumble was better than the men's, and I still stand by that statement. However, since then, the rocket ship has kind of taken a bit of a dip, and the women's wrestling hasn't been booked the way it should be. And obviously with the controversy about yesterday of who should have main evented, fine, obviously they did, and the thing is, that was a talking point for Charlotte and Flair and Ripley. This one, though, there is no way they're going to be in that scene to do it. So maybe if the women aren't going to main event because it's not happening, Bianca Belair and Asuka could open.
Could do, actually.
Because I mean, they always say if you're not going first and you want to make an impact,
had a match together, and we were like, the chemistry just weren't there. Was it these two?
I can tell.
I think it was.
At what point was it?
Like maybe about a year and a half ago. There was a match. It was. I think like one of these two were in it, or it could have been these two together. And I just remember thinking that's going to be unreal, and like it didn't hit. I can't remember what it was now, but like I just hope that's not the case tonight. You know, I really hope this is going to be. You know, we're celebrating again a year.
From that far back. Tell us.
Let us know what we thought a year ago, basically. But yeah, it's look, I think it has potential, man. I think Asuka, yeah, she's come back on this run, tweaked her character and stuff like that. And I keep saying, I think Bianca Belair is kind of, I do think the storyline of her being champion has kind of run its course. As much as I appreciate Bianca, I just think it's kind of getting a bit stale and it's at risk of people kind of turning against her. That's my only concern. Look, I get it. I'm not against Bianca. Big fan, as you can see, my conversation with her a little while ago, talking about the importance of representation, working Triple H again. And also you'll see in that, I really go into kind of saying how I sometimes want to be Bianca Belair. I like her that much. I think
I must
fantastic.
say, firstly, I don't like giving you praise on this channel because your big head's big enough as it is, because of the amount of stuff you do. But I must say, it's one of my favorite interviews that you've done, by the way.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate
it's
that.
so good. It's so, I don't know. It's just watching it. Just listen to her talk and the passion that she has, but just being a champion and being a proper champion and leading by example, and all that stuff. When you just think to yourself, God, I'm so glad she's champion. And the way you was able to get to talk about it was fantastic. So it's one of my favorite interviews that we've had on the channel.
Appreciate it, mate. Hey, look, Rob sold it there, guys. Go back and watch it as well. Sludge Sports says Bianca wins. Also says Rhea versus Asuka going forward. And Lucas says those long reigns are annoying. Just jumped up there. Oh, I'm still messing them. There we go. I'm still pressing all the wrong ones because everyone is doing them. Great point. And Sludge Sports actually adds to that, says, yeah, we haven't had a short title reign in a while. Now, we talked about this the other day, didn't we, Luke, Rob? So we were saying, I actually thought it was a good thing that we were kind of like, it was refreshing that we had so many. But like, is Lucas right? Do we have too many? I think he might be. Like, they don't mean as much if they're all doing it, though.
Yeah, because the minute we start getting short title reigns, people are going to start going, oh, the hot potato title again. There's no middle ground.
No, okay, but here's the thing, right? 620 days for the Usos. Does it mean as much when Roman's doing what he's doing? Gunther, does it mean as much when he's done even bigger himself? Like, I don't know. I think they shouldn't be at the same time. I think it's because it's all kind of changed. The regime's changed all at once, of course, So, Noah's saying that we're talking about Rhea versus Asuka, like the match that didn't deliver. Oh, sorry. There we go. Maybe that was the one. Was the one. Last one was Seth Rollins at US title. And there was another one here as well. Where do we go? From Lucas. We're in a different era now, and they don't like split belts. We're looking at 2 to 3 champs a year max. They love long title reigns. Yeah, definitely. It does seem like that's where they're going with it. And again, that can be a great thing. But I'm with Lucas on that. I've got to say that like they can only mean so much if they're kind of somewhat sparse, they kind of have. I think it was to reset a lot of the record books, to be honest, with a lot of these titles. So yeah, for me,
to a degree, like Roman, I guess we're getting 1,000 days. If he doesn't, if Roman somehow, let me put it the other way, if Cody somehow can't find a way to pin and keep Roman down for the 3 count, Roman clearly looks like they're going to push to 1,000 days. But what we said when we see the card and we were talking about our predictions is Gunther trying to beat the Honky Tonk Man record for the IC title. Now, look, it's a bit controversial what I'm about to say, but one of my favorite all-time champions. Yeah. Obviously, yes, we've got Jericho, but bro, The Miz done so much with the IC title. When the feud with Ziggler and what he's done, The Miz is up there as one of my favorite IC title champions. And Gunther's now in that list of credible IC titles. And what's this? His first run? Is he only held it once? Yeah, so imagine him breaking that record on his one reign of it, and then moving forward. That's a big achievement.
That's a good point. Actually, doing it all within the first reign and his first kind of experience. Really,
like, that's what I'm saying. So it's a different credibility to the Usos broke the record.
But they'd been it a few times, and
Roman breaking a record because it's a modern. So yes, I get it. It's the long runs, but there's different things about the runs.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It's not just a long one.
100%. So, I just think there is a risk that where they're all happening at once, but they've got different stories. Completely agree with you there. We are looking again at the kickoff show, guys, and again, no match on the kickoff show this time. Shock horror.
Just bring Ryan back for a match. He's probably free.
But I think Ryback Callisto at WrestleMania 1 year was fantastic. I got to say, and also we just saw Bianca Belair. They were kind of highlighting that feud that we've just been talking about there. as well. A few extra comments here as well. Facts. Miz deserves it again. It means so much to him. All caps there from Slow Sports. Definitely a Miz fan there as well. Much appreciated there. No, Honky Tonk Man got us. Xavier was such a unique title run for that era. Oh, controversial take from Lucas there, mate. It's definitely going against your idea.
I got so excited with Sludge Sports reaction. I nearly done an old school Miz, with the ooh-rah. I nearly got a proper hype like Mojo then. But talking about the Bianca thing, obviously, because that's what got us into this long title reign kind of conversation. I'm in two minds. I like the idea of Asuka winning because what's the point of rebranding a character and having her lose? At the same time, I love the idea of Asuka being so close to about to get the pinfall. Bianca then switches and she becomes the heel, and then she has a run with the heel as a heel turn.
I don't think they've solidified Asuka as that much of a face. I mean, that's the problem with this match, though. It is kind of confusing. As far as the build goes, but yeah, I just think Bianca needs to shake it up a bit. I can't like her as a heel in NXT. Again, I say it time and time again. She's like CM Punk in the sense that she could use that same character and just go in the opposite direction with it. CM Punk is a noble man, not drinking. How dare Jericho put the drink on top of him? But as soon as he starts preaching, CM Punk is the bad guy, and Bianca Belair is like, I'm the
straight
best. And you're like, I don't like Bianca. She's so cocky. And then all of a sudden, she's the lovely, humble girl, but she's also going, and I'm really good. And you're like, yeah, you are really good. And she's a great babyface. So her character works on both sides. So I would love to see her as a heel on the main roster. I'm really, really hopeful we're going to get that. But at the same time, she kind of is getting in that John Cena territory of like, she's so inspiring to the kids. Like, do you really want to risk turning her, So Lucas also says no pre-match as they're just talking about Doc Hendricks, though. He'll be the Miz, though. Doc Hendricks is getting a shout out, is he? Todd Pettingill acting as backup FCM Punk. Oh, here we go.
Oh, goddamn.
It's kicking off in the chat, mate. Right, let's move on, mate. It's time to talk about the main event. I'm sure there are people watching on this stream that have got a lot of opinions on this one. So again, feel free to drop your comments, guys, and we'll get to them as we go on throughout the stream. In this final section leading towards the big event itself. Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, prediction-wise, mate, let me just get back to what we all said. 2 said Cody, 2 said Roman. It was me and Dan that said Cody. You and Lucas went for Roman Reigns. Now, up until, like I said on that prediction show, mate, a few months ago, I was like, of course it's Cody. Like, of course, end the story, da-da-da. But as Andy said earlier on when he joined us live from SoFi Stadium, it can happen in the future. It doesn't have to be tonight. And it seems like the tide is turning. The wind got sucked out of us at Clash because it seemed like a missed opportunity with Roman. I fear that might happen tonight if Roman wins, but from what Andy said, it sounds like people come round to the idea. I think if WrestleMania took place a month or 2 or 3 months ago, then we might be in a different situation. There is a chance that people are okay with Roman retaining, because I think a lot of people think now it's possible and that Cody could therefore do it in the future. What are you thinking, mate, overall? Again, it's been about a week since we did our predictions.
About a week ago.
But, would you change if you could?
Look, I'll give you my reasoning. Do I want this I'll put it. Do I want Cody to win? Yes. Do I want him to have his WrestleMania moment? I got teary when he looked up at Rumble and said, "Dad, I've done it," or whatever it was he said, and he mouthed something to Dusty. The love and respect that he got from everyone in the wrestling, like the complete wrestling industry, was just everyone pouring out saying congratulations. It was beautiful. I absolutely loved it. I got teary seeing it happen. My thing is, Cody keeps saying, I want to finish the story, right? Get to the end of the story, finish it, get that moment, because Dusty never held the title.
Yeah.
But my point is, Cody is saying that as a way of he wants to win a title. Yes, that's the selling point. But Dusty never done it at WrestleMania. So my thing is, Cody's going to finish the story, but it's not happening at WrestleMania. I think Roman will go on. He'll win. We'll get to Saudi on the 1,000th day of Roman being a champion. Cody will then dethrone him on his 1,000th day, because it's a big celebration to hit that milestone. and then bang, Cody will put it out from under him, and then that's when we'll get to the end of that story.
So that's it. Like you said, we did it
happening.
on our red carpet preview, didn't we? We did the match. We think we're right, guys, but we think that going into that match, if Roman Reigns has ever a match on that night, he will be 1,000 days into his reign. And to, like you say, to lose it on his 1,000th day, you've kind of satisfied both sides of the story there, you know. So
yeah,
it's it will be interesting. Lucas says Jey Uso should be the one to dethrone Roman, in my opinion. I like the idea. I like the idea when it was kind of Hell in a Cell time when they were facing each other, but it just doesn't seem likely.
My issue with this is if Jey dethrones him, right? Which great storytelling, but that title's then going to get hot potatoed because if you get Jey Uso, if Jey Uso has it, okay, he gets it a month. So he's a transitional champion to what? Lose it to Gunther. Then the whole thing is pointless.
And we've still got to see as well the kind of, and we might see some of it tonight, but the kind of new dynamic between the bloodline without those tag titles. You know, of course, we've been toying with the whole kind of is Jey on their side? Turns out he was. And then Solo, what's going on with him? But now we've got this kind of element that we've been talking about potentially cropping up at some point for the last, year or so, really, about what happens when Roman is annoyed that the Usos have lost and embarrassed the bloodline, So that might not even have a time to breathe because Roman could be the guy that loses himself tonight as well. Of course, I mentioned earlier on, I'm wearing the Bullet Club shirt to rep his time in the Bullet Club, I guess, Cody Rhodes. But I just think there's a big part of me still that thinks if Cody doesn't do it tonight, it will annoy me because the Sami Zayn could have done it. And for me, the most important thing is, sorry?
Sami Zayn got his moment last night. And do you know what?
But it could have been more, man. It could have been more. Look, I'm glad, as I said on the instant reaction, I don't want to go too far into it, but like he deserved that. And it seemed like that was always the plan. But we can't pretend it could have been more. And if Cody doesn't do it, if he didn't get it because of Cody and Cody don't do it either, then that would annoy me.
I get that, right? But you have to look at it from another perspective, I guess. Let's look at it from the eyes of Sami Zayn. Everyone goes to WWE because they want to be a WWE champion, right? And that's an actual. If you're going to WWE and you're going, I don't care if I'm not a champion, then you should be a part of WWE. Your mindset is to be a WWE champion unless you're a tag team and you want to win the tag gold, right? And other stuff in between it. But Sami came in independently, yes, without Owens, and Owens came in a little bit later with NXT. Sami was an NXT champion, had the feud with Owens, and then went up, had these great matches, Nakamura at NXT. I mean, he's been on a roller coaster with a career since in WWE. But I think from a fan standpoint, Owens won the Universal title with the help of Triple H. And then obviously we had that great moment that they celebrated backstage, him and Owens, him and Zayn, sorry. But I think from another standpoint, yes, Zayn would love to be the champ, the main champion, but can you really say Owens and Zayn being a main event of WrestleMania and winning tag team championships after everything they've been through is better or is worse than becoming a main event that WWE champion? I think to him, that means so much more.
I think it does. I think it's a massive, look, it means a lot to me as a fan, and I'm sure it means a lot to them as wrestlers. But like, there would be nothing that would have topped tonight ending with Sami Zayn being the champion. That, like, there's nothing in anyone's.
If there was no Cody, then yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no,
Cody,
like I said,
the issue.
We went in depth on this on the build-up show for Elimination Chamber, and again, this is why these build-up shows are so interesting because we don't just preview the event; we talk kind of much broader on these things as well. But it's so go back and check that out if you haven't already. If you want to hear our opinions on it at the time, but it's like, yeah, that's the problem. Cody is kind of like this was going on already, and again, because it's so big. Yes, there is the argument that Cody could do it any time, but for me, like it just. For me, it's time. Like Roman started to get stale a few months ago, and unless we go somewhere and they've got something huge planned for the bloodline, we'd have to know pretty quick. I do worry that tonight could be a moment where everybody has the wind sucked out of them.
Yeah, to a degree, but you're saying there needs to be something new that happens to the bloodline. Well, the Usos have just lost. So something new is happening to the bloodline. So we're getting that new dynamic. So
possibly, yeah.
We need to let that breathe. Also, speaking of the way I think it's going to happen, I think I can predict the future, bro. Because on the show that we were talking about, I was like, Owen and Zayn will win.
Yeah.
And then they'll have their moment. That's half my prediction correct.
Okay.
My other part was later tonight, Roman versus Cody, out come the Usos to fix damage that they've done because they've downgraded the family and made it look a shambles, right? Made the bloodline look awful. They come out comes Owens and Zayn. They get rid of them. They have their moment. Out comes Solo. Solo hits Cody with a Samoan spike. And because of that, Roman's the reason why he gets the pin. Because they've been planting a little seed for the last while now.
Yeah.
Solo and Cody. Cody's already beat him on SmackDown. It feels like it could happen. So I think if Cody loses, he loses because he's at the hands of Solo. And then Roman builds from that.
And then Cody Solo into a proper feud, maybe for a bit, or
maybe
Cody sticks around.
Because he's still around the bloodline. And
because there was this tweet that went around that Cody responded to Solo training years ago. So it's a nice little kind of tying up of the story.
Because he said about going to see him to get him in, to bring him in.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know, man. I feel like it's a nice full circle for what they're doing. To build forwards, and I mean, if they're going to do it,
there's still a lot of ways to go with it. Don't get me wrong. If Roman retains, but I don't know. I just feel like, I think I just want it to be Cody tonight. You know what I mean? I mean,
we all do, but
yeah. Let's go into some more comments here. Sludgeport says, I feel like Roman should win when he hits 1,000 or something. He should have 2 matches at SummerSlam, Cody for the WWE title and Rock for the Universal title, because they should split the titles. Yeah, definitely agree, splitting the titles, or kind of giving us some clarity as well. I don't know about Rock at SummerSlam. I think Rock's got to be at Mania. And also, Rock, did you see Rock's video? Really nice video, basically bigging up the people behind the scenes, telling fans to enjoy WrestleMania weekend, talking about his daughter at NXT, and also talking about, which of course we covered on this channel if you want to check that out. And then also talking about pretty much the bloodline, and basically he did straight up hint, man, that he's coming back. Like that it will happen again. My biggest fear was that if it wasn't this year, it might never happen. But Rock's having another match again, and we'll talk about that a bit more in depth at another point. Lucas also says last night's tag main event was incredible, so good to watch. Think it may get above the 6-star mark from Daddy Dave. But again, we were talking about last night, guys. If you haven't already, check out our instant reaction when you do get some time. I know this is about night 2, but if you do get some time to watch us talking about night 1 at any point throughout the next few days, then you'll hear what we said on that, which is pretty much that Usos surely up there in the conversation of greatest tag team.
You know why that won't get a 6-star? Because it didn't happen in Japan. That's why. Also, just talking on that, listeners, we start to wind down the last 10 minutes or so. I messaged you about the obviously plans for this and what we're going to talk about and stuff. But the shout out that the Owens and Zayn gave to the Briscoes.
Yeah.
Oh my! Seriously, I don't know what they've done, but they've really, like, every time I hear things, and they're just acknowledging them and all that.
This whole weekend has had like a real big thing about the Briscoes in it as well. Of course, Supercard of Honor, the Reach for the Sky match, Mark Briscoe going for the the TV title against Samoa Joe,
retiring the tag titles.
Retiring the old ones. There was also that quote. I didn't actually see him say it, so I hope it's actually true that it was said. But basically, they were like, "Oh, you've had a great weekend," and whatever. And he was basically like, "Well, I'm wrestling Samoa Joe, like Jay's wrestling Eddie Guerrero." Like, and he was like, "It was a lovely little quote there as well from Mark Briscoe. Just a beautiful kind of sense of optimism and appreciation as well." So shout out to Mark, and of course, rest in peace to Jay. It was a horrible story. Of course, we covered it on the channel a little bit when it happened, and we had the privilege of talking to the Briscoes a few years ago when, ironically, they called out the Usos. The Usos responded, and it did a lot for us at the time. And really grateful for Mark and Jay for their time and for their kind of impact that they've had on the pro wrestling world, not just within Ring of Honor and tag team wrestling and stuff like that, but you hear it from guys like from, I was going to say, Steen and Generico there to get real indie, but Kevin Owens, as you said, paying homage to him last night as well. A lovely comment there as well. Slushport says that's the attire I saw for Logan. I didn't like it. Right, let's start wrapping up, man. It's been a great stream, guys, and as the ticker says at the bottom there, we're going to be back right after WrestleMania for our instant reaction as well for night 2. Like we said, we did one for night 1 already, a 5 a.m. stream for us, guys. So hopefully WrestleMania maybe finished a little bit earlier tonight for us here in the UK. But basically, we were an hour deep last night, and we'll be here straight after the show tonight to talk all about night 2 as well. We've so appreciated having you guys with us, not just tonight, but the build-up show yesterday as well, the build-up show for NXT. I know we've had some repeat offenders joining us here as well. And of course, sticking with us throughout the past few months, all the content on the channel, interviewing WWE superstars and our predictions and previews. It can't happen, guys, without you supporting us as well. And as we mentioned, we went into the studio, did some great content a little while ago, myself and Rob. We've got so much more coming throughout the next few weeks as well, with regards to kind of deep dives into the history of WWE, some fun kind of games and things like that as well. But of course, like I said, we're going to be back straight after WrestleMania tonight, guys, on the instant reaction. But you've been joining us here on the build-up show. Rob, have you got anything you want to say before we get out of here, mate?
I mean, you kind of said everything, but I just want to touch on what you said. If you do want to be up to date with everything that we're doing on this channel, and you may forget that a video is coming out, firstly, subscribe. And if you hit the bell for the notification, then you'll instantly get a message saying that, oh, RN Pro Wrestling, we've dropped another video, we're on another live stream. Then you can come back and just talk more wrestling with us for as long as you want.
There we go. And because you've done such a good job plugging the channel overall, mate, I'm going to plug the video you did again earlier this week of the Hall of Fame. We were talking about Rey Mysterio, of course, quite a bit this weekend, but Rob's gone real in depth on basically some of the things that we believe has kind of solidified Rey's position in the Hall of Fame. You go through some of his greatest matches and just kind of key features really about his career and why he deserves to be in that Hall of Fame as well. So it's a great little video on the channel. If you haven't already, get around to watching that. And again, we did a instant reaction for night 1. And we'll be back later on for an instant reaction in night 2. Also follow us at RN Pro Wrestling, I should say, on Twitter as well. And most of all, guys, we would love it if you subscribe to us here on YouTube. We're also live on Twitch, of course. We shouldn't forget that. And also live on Twitter at RN Pro Wrestling as well. So wherever you join us from tonight or whether you're watching in the future on demand, thank you so much for all your support. Again, we hit 500 this weekend and it's been amazing to do it. And I wouldn't want it any other way. Like I said, talking about wrestling at 5 a.m. is a bit challenging at times, but when you get to do it with guys like Rob and everyone that gets to join us on the streams as well, hey, it's a good life, don't get me wrong. Right.
You get to hear our voices, so you know.
There we go. What a beautiful way to end it, mate. On that note, thank you all so much for joining us tonight, and we'll see you later on for the wrap-up and instant reaction tonight too. I reckon we're going to have a lot to talk about, Rob. I'll see you there.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.